Hello traders, it's Andy with Trade Ideas, and I've shown about 4 videos already displaying a lot of the scans I've developed to help me find these incredible setups for stocks. And I wanted to come back and do another video, a follow-up video, and talk about the advantages of a really good setup, uh, and also give you an idea of what I look for when I'm looking at these stocks. And a lot of them you're going to see have the potential for very explosive moves. So let's start right now with the advantages of a good setup. First and foremost is the entry. Okay, the entry is the most important part of a trade. Okay, and I'll get it in the next slide. We'll talk more about that. And also, these have the potential for an explosive move because the way I've created these scans, they're typically setting up in like a bull flag or a wedge pattern, which can be very advantageous, as far as the potential it can have for a great move. And the third one is a favorable risk reward ratio, because of these patterns, okay, that are setting up. And when you get that trigger, okay, these should work, okay. And the way I trade, if they don't do what they're supposed to do, I'm typically out pretty quick. And I'll have a slide toward the end to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So let's dive into a good entry and why it's the most important part of the trade. Well, first of all, it's more forgiving. I'm sorry. If you're catching these things typically right out of these wedge patterns, you're going to be first to the game. I can promise you that. Okay, a lot of traders look for a breakout of a monthly high, an all-time high. But for me, I'd like to kind of anticipate a little bit, and I'm not anticipating in the fact that I'm guessing. Okay, they're coming out of a pattern. Okay, but I'm just maybe a little bit early than what most people will because I'm kind of predicting this is going to have a move when I'm getting in these things right when they break out of the pattern. Okay, and of course, it can be much more profitable. Like I mentioned early, they have the potential for a great uh, move to the upside. So obviously, with that great move comes the potential for lots of profits. And another thing, it's less stressful, okay, because you're getting in a price, you're getting in early, you're beating most traders, and because of the setup, you can go into it with confidence, and and like I said, it's all about the entry. Okay, when you have a good entry, typically it's going to go in your favor, pretty much right off the bat. So I'll show you some examples once again coming up. But let's take a look at the next slide, which is IBM, and this is what I'm talking about. This is a good entry. Okay, breaking above all these moving averages, breaking above a 5-day high, and breaking a trend line. You're going to see this over and over in these next slides I'm showing you. To me, this is what I'm talking about when I say a good entry. All right, this was a no pain entry. You bought it, and this thing never looked back on a swing trade, and it was because of that setup. Moving on to the next one, my ideal entry. Okay, this is kind of like what I showed you. It's a 5-day high. It's breaking a trend line. Okay, and I prefer it to be on decent volume, but that's not a prerequisite. Okay, it doesn't have to be doing that volume because a lot of times I feel like I'm early to the game. The volume will come later, but it always makes me that much more encouraged when I see it on volume. All right, this is what I'm talking about with explosive. You look at this SOUN, okay, you're going to see a beautiful wedge pattern. All right, this came up on my scan. I'll show it to you next. I think it was on maybe April 11th. We'll check it out here in a minute. But you can see it breaking a 5-day high, breaking a wedge pattern, and just beautiful 3-day upside, or 2.5, I should say, upside momentum in that one. All right, let's come on here. And now you're seeing it. This was on my scan. It was March 11th when that happened. You can see SON on the scan there. All right, this is DraftKings. Okay, you're seeing a kind of a recurring theme here. Okay, you got a nice trend line, It opens up, it takes out that trend line. It's also breaking out of a 5-day high. This had a nice 2-day move in. I remember because I played this one. Then it pulled back, bounced a little bit. I think the market got to it on this day right here. But nonetheless, decent trade and a beautiful pattern there. And as I go down here, you're going to see, I'm sorry, DraftKings on the nice setup scan on that day. Moving on, Alpine. I did this for a webinar that I did for a group of people, but luck favors the prepared mind. But here it is, breaking out of a 5-day high, breaking this beautiful trend line. And not only did you have that huge move this day, you had a gap because I think they were bought out. And on my sweetness scan, you're going to see there is Alpine. So just a beautiful break. And like I said, going back, I just want to let you guys know, keep an eye on this. This is the next slide, and I'm going to talk about risk. But this was a beautiful pattern, and I was in this. Okay, look at the explosive move it had out of that pattern for one day. Market got to it the next day, and this is what I'm talking about when I'm defining risk. If a stock doesn't do what I expect it to do, I expect this to continue to move right out of this pattern like it did. What happened? It fell back into this range. Now for me, I got out for a flat. Okay, some people may want it to break out of this wedge or break to the downside before they get out, or some people may want to let it take out the monthly low. That's the thing about, I hate to give people targets and stops because that can be subjective. But just telling you, for me, if a pattern fails and when I expect it to break out and comes back down, I'm usually out pretty quick. All right, so that's it for today. I hope you guys learned something. Please go down, give us a thumbs up on this. And just remember, get you some scanning software that can show you those good setups. It can make a world of difference in your trading.